and allow that defense to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers. And you can't forget about the Indianapolis Colts run game against the defense of the Green Bay Packers. That's the way to keep the ball away from Aaron Rodgers and that offense.
All right, I want to stop down on this game a little bit because there's a lot of it that interests me. And Diana, I want to start with you. Davante Adams is such a critical piece of the offense for Green Bay, and he's banged up. What do we know about his status?
Yeah, he is a significant piece. We know that he's Aaron Rodgers' favorite target. So on Wednesday, he was limited at practice, and yesterday he didn't practice at all. Today we should find out a little bit more. But, you know, the Packers have been really conservative with their players this season in terms of injury. And what I mean by that is if the player is right on the borderline, they tend to keep that player back. Now, Adams did tell the media that he feels good, that the ankle does feel good, but this could come down to a game time decision on Sunday. But I think for those fantasy football fans out there, they should be very cautious here.
All right, so that's obviously critical for them. But RC, let's look at the Packers for a minute here, because people are talking about them like they're right back where they need to be. This is a team that has won back-to-back games against the very badly banged-up San Francisco 49ers and then just barely beat Jacksonville a week ago. As you watch Green Bay play right now, do they look like a team amongst the NFC powerhouses that could make a deep run to the Super Bowl this year?
No, to me, the Green Bay Packers are and also ran. We will remember them. We will think that they were a good team. We'll talk about them in the offseason to see what they can do to take that next step. But this team doesn't win the championship. This team doesn't win the Super Bowl. And when you watch them play defense, now they're missing some of their corners. They still continue to get ran through, as we saw with the Jacksonville Jaguars and James Robinson. And they are so heavily reliant on Davante Adams to make plays offensively. I just don't believe that this team has enough. And you talked about it in the offseason, Greeny. They need to do more. They need to add more. Bart, everyone came on this show. They thought they had arrived. They felt like, you know what, with the people in the locker room, we can win. And they're wrong. And sometimes when you're wrong, you waste a great career of one of the all-time great quarterbacks in this league. And that's what we're watching with the Green Bay Packers. They're good enough to be talked about. They'll be good enough to be a factor, but they'll be sitting at home watching the Super Bowl with us because they won't have what it takes to make it there.
I'm so glad you said that because I think it is exactly right. To quote the great Danny Green, the Packers are who we thought they were. They were someone who needed to add someone in the draft to help, and they didn't. And they needed to add someone at the trade deadline, and they didn't. And so they will be right where they were last year. Good enough for Aaron Rodgers to take them into the playoffs, but not good enough to win it. And if it's me, I'm frustrated with that. Bart, what do you think?
Well, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing twice and expecting a different result. And the problem was, it wasn't that they needed another receiver. We were fine to live with that because it looked like Lazard was becoming a great number two. But the fact that they can't stop the run, that opportunity to make a trade for Avery Williamson, the Pittsburgh Steelers thought that they needed somebody at that position. They decided not to. And then what's going to happen is where you just take the San Francisco 49ers and their dominant run game away last year and how they dominated the Packers in the playoffs. And you that Aaron Rodgers is going to be on the bench and on the sideline most of the game trying to wait to get on the field to try and make a play.
What do you think, Rob Ninkovich?
I disagree. I think that they could right the ship. They're the 10th ranked run stopping defense.
Bye.